Welcome, FNews57 here. Once again, I'm back on my Xbox Series X to bring you another guide. For today's video, I'll be showing you how to get probably one of the most annoying achievements, to say the least, in the brand new Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and that is the Gunless achievement. So fasten your seatbelt because this one is a pain. It's 60 gamer score, rare achievement, and what you need to do is finish alone without firing a gun. So yes, that is the entirety of the mission, and this achievement is a little bit buggy because while it specifies without firing a gun, it's actually without firing a gun, period, getting a kill with a gun, meleeing with a gun, firing the crossbow, firing the shotgun, firing and not hitting anything at all, reloading the gun. Yeah, it's basically do not touch a gun, but we are allowed to use melee takedowns only, throwing knives, explosives, smoke grenades, direct melee attack, pretty much anything as long as it is not a gun related. Even though technically speaking a crossbow is not a gun, the crossbow still voids the achievement. So I'm going to show you exactly what needs to be done. This one's a pain. It's all RNG, so it's probably going to take you multiple tries. Don't try to be that He-Man and do it on veteran difficulty. I mean, hey, sure, why not? If you got it, great. But it's just, yeah, save yourself the headache and play it on recruit. This one really should be done on recruit. I can't stress that enough. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and get started, and I have skipped the very first portion of the mission simply because it's a very linear path and basically the game just teaching you what you need to do. There's a few different resources that you can pick up that you won't need, but eventually you're going to come here to this little fountain, and this is going to be our first chance to actually get a weapon. But obviously we're not going to get a weapon because, well, that's going to void our achievement. So at this point, this is going to be our first opportunity to get decoys, and you're going to want to take advantage of your save points as much as possible. So you'll notice that our objective is just to find a sharp weapon, and it's not really going to give us an objective marker. But you should be able to relatively easily grab 3 bottles. There's some other bottles on the other side of the fence, or the other side of that fountain area, I should say. There are 2 things that I do want to just mention real quick in your settings. 1, make sure difficulty recruit, and 2, make sure this is more personal preference, but if you go to your graphics settings, turn off motion blur, and turn up your brightness. Now, what brightness level you'll need will be entirely dependent on your TV, but it will make your life a lot easier if you can see what you're doing. Now, sometimes you can sneak past that guy, sometimes you can't. If you can't sneak past him, then simply just wait until he moves, or you might have to throw a bottle.
Graves is rounding up cops.
He's judge, jury, and executioner now.
Bottle.
Good for a distraction.
I don't want to test my skills against 141. You should white flag this thing and talk, or everyone's going to end up dead.
Now, see, technically you can wait, and you might be able to sneak past that guard. It's honestly a real pain in the ass, so it's probably best to expend one of your bottles and just kind of get that guard to walk away from this door over here, since we don't have an actual sharp weapon to deal with him. Then grab the wax, and if you want to give yourself a little bit of cover, shut that door behind you. You're basically going to remain crouched for the entirety of this mission. And I cannot stress enough how much you need to pick up everything. So you're going to get a mousetrap here. That's going to help us out a lot later on. But literally pick up everything. The wax, the chemicals, the tape, the bottles. If you can pick it up, go ahead and pick it up. It is extremely helpful. So all of the cordage, all of the stuff, If you want to take your time and wander around more, you can. There's plenty of other places that you can actually go to. You don't have to go to every spot that I go to. It just depends on really how quickly you want to get this done. But the more areas you go through, the more material you will have. So at the end of the day, it's going to be very much personal preference. But like if you come into this building right here, you can grab more chemicals. You can grab another mousetrap. You don't need to come here, but at least this will allow us to make another explosive. There's also a bottle to replace the bottle that we used, and that's right there on the window. This is just the other side of the fountain. As you can see, the fountain's right there. So you could sneak through either door. It doesn't really matter, personal preference. Make sure that you don't run and make too much noise because there's like a guard literally right here. You can usually sneak past this guy, and basically what we're looking for is the laundromat. If he spots you, that's kind of a pain in the ass, but you can usually find a dark spot and hide. Otherwise, you're going to have to restart. But our kitchen area is where we need to get to, and that kitchen area is what's going to have our sharp object knife. And just remember, you cannot open cabinet doors, even if you have the press X option, unless your headlight is on. One thing that you can do while you're waiting for guards to go away is open your backpack. And like you can make your smoke grenades, you can make, whatever that you might possibly need. If you're going to do it like I'm doing right here, I recommend that you go ahead and get one smoke grenade crafted. And then we're going to open the backpack and switch back to the bottles. So, just a pro tip, I wanted to show that you can hide from the enemies, and in fact that you have to have this headlamp on to actually search the cabinets. It's kind of stupid, but it is what it is. So in here in the department store that has the lights on, there's more wax. In a way, it wasn't worth getting spotted initially, but in a way, it's not bad, because depending on where that guard goes, we can actually get into this little restaurant. Sometimes you might have to retreat into the darkness and hide again, though. Because if you don't have your knife yet, you won't actually have any way of doing a takedown kill. But if you're fast enough when the guard leaves, you can get into the building on the other side. This is the opposite way of what we need to go, though. Like I said, personal preference at the end of the day, how you want to do this. But if you want to come in here, you'll have more resources. If you don't want to come in here, you'll have less resources. At the end of the day, though, it is what it is. If you were detected, which if you come in here, you probably would be detected by the guards, then go ahead and let them pass. Book it back to where that rope was. We're going to go down this way. There's not much, like we can't pick. Well, I think you might be able to pry this lock. I'm not 100% sure. There is a mouse trap in there. So not sure how you get in there exactly, but it's not worth the frustration. Sometimes if you weren't detected by the guards, you might have a couple of guards down here. Just bear that in mind. They will also see your flashlight, so don't use it unless you need to. There's nothing that you can pick up down there, but there is a nice little dark spot to hide. And keep in mind with this, it's all RNG based. So the guards are usually in the same spots, but they're not always guaranteed to be in the same spots. Also, there's an infinite number of guards. They will continue to respawn. If for some reason you were in combat with the guards behind you, when you jump down here into the river, you will have a new area. and the guards that were chasing you will not follow you.
Covers theirs.
So there's different stuff in here that you can actually open, and if you have like the metal, then you can open the box and do all of that stuff. This isn't 100% necessary though. Just keep that in mind. All we need to do is complete the mission. We do not actually need to have everything. And you have to watch out because this door here has that shotgun. We only broke the tripwire, which isn't really too big of a deal. It is a noisemaker, but it's not too bad. So what you can do, if you don't want to break through the door, you can just jump through the window. Honestly, both make about as much noise. You'll find a piece of metal underneath the bike so you can make a pry bar. Most importantly, you'll find a knife. Now that we have the knife, we can do a regular melee attack,
Think I found one.
and obviously we can do the lethal takedowns.
You came through
It
here.
is possible to take this shotgun, but I would not recommend taking the shotgun. So the shotgun did fire here, but the door absorbed it, so I don't have to worry about that. I would recommend, it doesn't matter as far as the audio choice, that's up to you. I would recommend if you're going to take your time, go ahead and do what crafting you might need. Like if you need to make a pry bar or something, you can do that here and then proceed through the rest of the house. You should always have at least one smoke bomb. So come upstairs, there's a bunch of resources.
Burning the midnight.
Always check the bathroom. You can also open the other door.
No matter what.
Turning up your brightness helps with this simply because of the fact that it makes it a little bit easier to see the surroundings. Unfortunately, though, it's not a perfect fix. There's a bunch of stuff up here, metal pieces, wax, chemicals, plenty of things that you can go ahead and grab. Unfortunately, you do have to press and hold X to pick up everything, and you really don't want to sprint because sprinting will inevitably cause you to usually detect, or be detected, I should say.
So to speak.
Go ahead and grab like the tape and everything in here, and then you can kind of just take your time. There's another gun.
Devil.
There's a shotgun here too, so there's 2 shotguns that you can get if you want, but obviously we don't want the shotgun, so we're not even going to pick it up. Simply picking it up is going to make the game harder on us. And then you can see somebody's trying to get in through that door. Now, it is possible you can go through that door, and usually you have to, but some people will try to go around the car that's downstairs. Just keep that in mind, that it's almost impossible to go around that car. I've seen like one person do it successfully, but this is actually a civilian, so you don't have to really worry about it. I don't know why or how exactly somebody got past the car downstairs, but I have seen them do it. You can pry open these crates. This is something that most people didn't cover, but prying open the crates is actually pretty neat because you can go ahead and get your explosives, you get your first aid. The adrenaline makes it so that you move normally now instead of like being so super slow, but it does require a pry bar. Like I said, we're gonna go through a fair amount of these pry bars, but they're honestly not that bad. So personal preference at the end of the day. If you would rather speed run the achievement, you can. But once you actually get to the end, and by the way, this is where the safe is, for those of you that want that achievement, we're covering that in a separate video, though. So now that we can make, or almost can make a mine, we just need a bit of tape. But there is also the whole lovely mousetrap there. So the main thing is, if you want the safe, there's the safe, and you can get the tape. At this point, you should be mostly full on your resources, and the only thing that's going to be the biggest problem is going to be binding material. Obviously, if you have another pry bar, there's another crate there that you can get the explosives and all that stuff from. So you can take as much time or as little time as you want, and it really just depends on what you are missing the most of. Now, to make this as easy as possible, though, I'm actually going to duck inside here, turn off my headlamp, and we are going to craft one of the improvised mines. We'll get this done early. Like I said, I'm going to do this as easy as possible. That's going to give me the ability to go ahead and take that mousetrap. Now I can turn back on my headlamp and get rid of that dialogue option. You'll see it does require one explosive. So we'll sacrifice the binding material because the binding material is easier to come by than the explosives. And we'll go ahead and open this crate here. Now, if you've taken damage, it's pretty nice. There's also like some sights if you had the pistol, but obviously we don't have the pistol, and our objective at this point is going to be to find a gun. But what we're going to do is we're not going to take the gun. We're simply going to proceed to the church.
Guy's got no gun. He won't get far.
He's 141, still dangerous. Go left, I'll clear the alley.
There's also plenty of things like tape down here.
Johnny,
There's quite a few resources, bottles if you need them. There's another mousetrap, so if you have the chance,
cold swim.
go ahead and craft your second improvised mine. They do take a while to craft, which is why we're crafting them now.
Don't mind.
Prioritize two things. Prioritize getting your mines. There's another shotgun down here. Do not pick it up. Be very careful. We do not want the shotgun. We don't want any gun at all. So turn off your headlamp. This way you're not detected. Grab the chemicals. If you are detected, so we have to be really quick about this, and we just need to get the heck out of this area, which is actually fairly easy to do, and then we'll keep moving towards the church and the river and everything. The guards, they're not too interested in us. There's a lot of guards, though, so just keep that in mind. You may need to use your smoke grenade, but we'll kind of run in circles. I wanted all the loot, and if you go prone, you can actually go underneath these trucks.
Good here.
Still upright.
So far, so good.
You get caught out there, they'll kill you slow.
Max.
Like I said, I absolutely love to gather every single resource that I possibly can, even though this isn't 100% necessary for us to do. Another good thing is when you have the ability to duck into this little bathroom here and craft yourself a wonderful smoke grenade, it's a good idea to craft at least one. So if you've been rushing, you're not going to have that many materials. There's also a ton of guards, by the way. So if you're unfortunate enough to be spotted and enter combat with them, you're going to be entering combat with quite a few guards. Probably like 5, maybe a few less if you're lucky. Maybe a few more if you're not. But go ahead and finish crafting the smoke grenades. If you Alright. Now we just have to get out of this bathroom. If you made it into the bathroom without actually triggering the guards, then great. Fantastic. You'll have a whole easier time than I did. But if you went for all the materials, more than likely you did trigger the guards, so you're just going to have to wait them out, but at least you'll have the smoke bombs and stuff and make life a lot easier for the next part. There's another crate we can pry open here if you want it. It's personal preference. There's a little alleyway with the dumpster. Behind the dumpster, conveniently, is like the mother lode of tape. So if you want to duck in behind the dumpster and do any crafting that you might need to, you should pretty much be good on craftables, but like it doesn't hurt to create another mine. These will come in handy at the end, especially when we don't have time to do the crafting. I keep turning on my headlamp by accident though, and I'm gonna craft a pry bar just because I'm a sucker for wanting to be able to get into like explosive crates and stuff that I really shouldn't be able to get into, and I'm gonna craft this last mine. And then we are basically as good to go as we can be. Guards will periodically patrol the area in random intervals, random groups, and then obviously we're back out here. So once you've had all that material, you probably aren't going to find anything else that you can really use. And at this point, it's just a matter of dodging the guards. If you want, you can open the crate for more explosive stuff. Since I have the opportunity to do so, I'm going to grab that here. And I'm just going to steal the explosives in case I want another landmine. Now, chances are you're not going to want another landmine, but hey, it doesn't hurt. Obviously, all of the guys that we did the takedowns on earlier are still going to be here. Thankfully, their friends are just like, oh, they must have had bad tacos, and they're not going to bother us. The other option that most people do is they sprint into this building and upstairs, and then when they're upstairs, they go ahead and kill all of the guards from upstairs. So I just did things a little bit differently. You can come in down here. There's two different entrances. There's another mousetrap and metal. There's going to be at least like 4+ guards, though, so keep that in mind. This is where, if you want to use those mousetrap mines are going to come in handy. And there's a bunch of stuff that you can pick up upstairs here. So at this point, we pretty much should have a throwing knife. Most of the guides that I've seen, because I had quite a bit of trouble with this achievement, but most of the guides that I've seen have mentioned that they've been able to find a throwing knife really early on, and some of these crates are unlocked that we don't need the pry bar. If the enemies see like your light or whatnot, then unfortunately they're going to be aggroed on you and it's going to be a little bit annoying. So that's where having the chemicals and tape and all of the pre-constructed stuff will come in handy. They can throw grenades, by the way. That came as a bit of a surprise to me because I wasn't expecting them to have grenades, but they do. So there's probably going to be 4 or 5 enemies in here that you'll have to deal with. If you want, you can go ahead and use one of your mines, place it at the bottom of the stairs. We have plenty of resources, so go ahead and craft a mine to replace it. If you didn't kill any enemies before entering this building, then more than likely you have quite a few enemies. You probably have 4 or 5 that mine will kill. And if you have your throwing knife, great. If you were unfortunate like I was and for some reason just could not get the throwing knife, it should be where you pick up your very first knife in that kitchen area. But if you were unlucky and didn't get it, then you're just kind of stuck. Also, in this section, you'll gain the ability to craft Molotovs. And the Molotovs we can use to get kills with. So anytime you're pretty much just waiting and you're not in combat with something, or you're waiting for a guard to go by, use that opportunity to go through and do your crafting. You will need these resources later, and I cannot stress how much it will benefit you to go ahead and have this. So make your mines, make your smoke grenades, prioritize the smoke grenade if at all possible, because you'll need several of them. And then just remember that if your mine doesn't kill all of them, you're probably going to have to deal with 4 or 5 guards up here that'll all be armed. So just kind of do the whole old school, you know, take one down. If you have enough health for the second one, go for that. Use the corners to your advantage, and be extremely thankful that you're playing on recruit difficulty, because we would be dead on veteran. Once the music has died down a bit, if you need to craft anything, mines or whatnot, go ahead and craft them. And just kind of make sure that you have the smoke grenade equipped, and then get ready to actually move. There's usually a couple of guards that linger outside the building, and that's where it is super helpful if you have the throwing knife, because you can kill them with the throwing knife. But unfortunately, like I said, I do not have the throwing knife, so yeah. Usually the last guy will kind of like chill, and you have to either wait for him to come to you, or you have to go to him and stab him in the face. If it's just one or two, you can probably go through with just the takedown and get them, and then get to this next section here. Just dodge, dip. There's usually a few enemies here. You'll have a jug of oil. That's worth it to pick up. And then what we want to do is we just want to get into the river section, because the river section is easy. And you will not have a update other than navigate through the tunnels, because unfortunately, as far as the game is concerned, you did not actually do the previous objective, and the previous objective was to go ahead and make sure that you had a weapon. Now these guys in the tunnel, the ones like with the lasers and whatnot, you can take them down. But I mean, you don't have to. They're usually not going to spot you. So you can just make your way through the tunnel past them, and you don't have to really worry about it too much. Now sometimes they can spot you, and you'll have to like duck down, break line of sight. Again, there's another couple guards that have lasers. There's a few bottles and stuff that you can pick up. The traps are important. The oil is important. So I would recommend that you actually grab those. But again, you don't 100% have to. Just make sure the guard with the laser behind you isn't following you. If he is, or he's in the way of the stairs, you can perform a takedown from the water, and then we can go upstairs. I do recommend at this point, I'm going to turn off my light, and I don't have enough tape, but that's all right. We got 2 Molotovs, mines, smoke grenades. We're basically in the home stretch here. And all we have to do is actually get to the church now, which we do have an actual waypoint, and that is amazing. Unfortunately, there's really nothing else that you can pick up in this area, so we just have to go to the car on the left. We can jump over that. Because we have the adrenaline, we can actually sprint now, which is phenomenal.
We're almost there.
Once you're in this store, careful, there is a rifle on the ground. But there should be some more tape and whatnot that you can pick up. This is basically your last real safe point to do any crafting. So again, make all the resources that you can. Prioritize smoke grenades. You don't need to do anything that is not lethal, though, or give you some sort of survivability. So if you followed my path, then you should basically have everything. You should have almost everything maxed except for pry bars, because after this, we're not going to really need another pry bar. Now, you're going to immediately be in what looks like a oh shit situation, because it kind of is since we don't have a gun. But thankfully, Ghost is here to bail our asses out. And it can be a little tricky to get out the door. Basically, you're just going to be remembering where this pickup truck is, have your smoke grenades, and move quickly. But don't worry too terribly much. If you need, there's explosives and tape right there. We can duck into the buildings too. It's kind of worth it for the wax. I'm doing this differently than what most people do, but that's okay because I want more resources. If you get pinned down, don't worry about it too much because we have the smoke grenades. I want the tape. We'll just make them get all confused by running around in that building. We have the Molotovs as well. So I've got most of those enemies chasing me now. Alright, so you're going to get this point here. Ghost is going to come back. We're good now. All we have to do is we have to get back to that pickup. And you can use your mines. Just be very careful with where you place the mine. So, like, we can do that. But you don't want to do friendly fire damage with the mine. Which is really stupid that you can do friendly fire damage with the mine, but you can in fact do friendly fire damage with the mine. Try to make sure that your Molotovs are effective and kill at least one, if not more than one. And then we're going to try to get to this truck as quickly as possible and just kind of run around this truck. Remember, it's all RNG based. If you want, toss a smoke on the truck and then just wait for the opportunity to open the door. Within a few seconds, as long as you never had a gun, bam! One sexy achievement unlocked. So, pretty cool. I know it took me longer than I wanted to get that and a few more tries, but if you don't get the notice to actually unlock the achievement, the pop-up of it, just make sure that you go to the official club, go over to progress, and then you'll see the achievement unlock there. As I said, pretty straightforward. I think I made that look a little bit easier than it actually was, because that was like my 7th time attempting it, and we did have to restart from checkpoint a couple of times, but it was easier for me due to the fact that I actually had the resources to have as many smoke bombs and Molotovs and mines as I wanted, as opposed to if you just make a straight run, you're only going to have like enough resources for maybe 2 Molotovs, 2 mines, and maybe 3 smoke grenades for the entirety of the mission. So it can be really dicey, to say the least. Personal preference. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, do me a favor, help me out with the searchability of videos here on YouTube. Go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe for more content. Till next time, stay frosty.